Well, welcome everyone. I appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening. I'm Alan D'Estacio. I'm chair of the board of directors here at AVA. I just want to share a few thoughts with you as we get started. I think this is an extremely exciting time for AVA. Based on what we went through last year at around this time, we were actually getting out of it, but we were still in the throes. It's a big, much bigger difference from where we were last year to where we are now. And in just 2 more years, which will be a very short period of time, we'll be approaching our 50th anniversary. And our new capital campaign kicked off last week to, I believe, some great success from seed to bloom. It's off to a great start. Jay is going to share some exciting news with you all in just a few more minutes regarding that. I would like to take a moment to personally thank Winky Kelsey, Bill Peabody, and Corky Winberg for donating 100% of the funds generated from the sale of their artwork in support of the campaign. I'm just sincerely grateful for their continued support of this organization, and it's sincerely appreciated for everything that they're doing. And I think that we can honestly say that we're at a bit of a crossroads right now. We're working very diligently to ensure that AVA's mission will be fulfilled for generations to come, not just next year or the year after, but for the long term. There's a unified vision among AVA's board, its committees, and its talented staff, and we stand ready to execute that vision. So we thank you. I would also personally like to thank you, sincere thank you to the entire staff for everything that you do. Frankly, last year was a bit of a stressor on all of us, and I appreciate your commitment to AVA. It's inspiring what you do every day, and working with the folks that are reaching out to us for our programs. It's why I'm here doing what I do. I feel it's critically important to support the work that's being done here. And I also want to say thank you to the members of the board this past year. We went through a really crazy time, a really crazy period, but at the end of the day, it was really the professionalism and the commitment that everyone exhibited during this past time. It made my work so much easier, and I can't thank you all enough for everything that you all did as well to get us through this period. And lastly, I would certainly like to say thank you to Heidi Reynolds for stepping up at a difficult time, and she helped us navigate a crazy period, this crazy period I keep referring to, which it was. But again, thank you to Heidi for all she did in helping us get to where we are today. We're in a very strong position, and again, it's a very exciting time, and I look forward to moving forward together as a group. So first, now I guess I will turn it over to Chris Cook, the vice chair of the board, and she will talk about the nominations for next year. Chris?
Thanks. And I think you're going to share the slate in just a moment. Before you do that, or while you're doing that, I want to also, on behalf of the board, and I think the staff, I could speak on behalf of them as well and say thank you, Alan, for your leadership. I think you have really just helped us navigate this very difficult time, and done so with a really steady hand. So thank you very much for that. And you keep us on time almost every time. So for that, we really appreciate you. So we have had, I think because of your leadership as well, we've had our executive committee members all agree to stay on for another helping. And so we have, it's not showing. You had it and then it disappeared.
Here we go.
Thanks. So this is the board. We have a few things for a vote tonight. We have the executive officers. So repeating in the role of chair will be Alan. I will repeat as vice chair. Barbara has agreed to stay on as board member at large. Eunice will remain as the secretary, and Jay has agreed to continue another year as treasurer. So I think what we would like is a motion on the floor to accept those officers to continue. That is what that's what the governing board the governance committee would like to present to you. We'll start with that.
Motion.
I'd like to move the slate as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Motion passes. Thank you for that. We are also very happy to introduce formally to to the membership Betsy Howard, who is listed here, and we're going to go do introductions in just one moment. So Betsy Howard, who has joined us, the board voted to bring her on to the membership a few months ago, and she's been a fabulous member of the development committee already. And so we want to, I guess we should probably let her introduce herself before we vote on her. So why don't we start with that? And I apologize for the haphazard nature here. But Betsy, if you could just introduce yourself to the membership, and then we can allow them to formally acknowledge you.
I'm delighted to be a member of the board and happy to help in any way I can in development or other ways. I work at the college in fundraising and live right here in Lebanon, just a few blocks from AVA. So I'm around and delighted to be part of things. Thanks.
Thanks. Sally Bacon has agreed to stay on for a second term. So thank you, Sally. Is Sally here? I think she is not. So, and there's no vote needed for that. So we will just say thank you formally, Sally. And then to all of the membership, I'm sure you recognize Jill Mortali, who has agreed after a one-year hiatus to come back for another term. So Jill, if you want to introduce yourself to those that might not know you, although I bet they do.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Jill Mortali, and I'm really honored and thrilled to become part of the board again. I really enjoyed my earlier terms and as part of the board, and I'm really looking forward to continuing that work and meeting everyone and seeing you all at AVA. So thank you.
Thank you. So this we do need a formal vote on. So we need a motion to invite Jill back on to the board for another 3-year term.
So moved.
And Brad seconds, I see. Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Motion passes. Alan? Now, more informally, maybe we could just, for those of you that don't know us, those of you that are not on the panel, we're going to very briefly just introduce ourselves. So I'm Chris Cook. This is my, I just completed a second year on the board, and I work at Dartmouth College in the provost's office. I'll toss it to Brad, and then Brad, you can toss it.
Hi, my name is Brad Hoyt. I'm now starting my 6th year. It's gone by quickly, 6 years on the board. Delighted to be chair of the education committee, and delighted to be supporting AVA in this capacity. With that, I'm going to pass it along to Colton.
All right, thanks. I just finished my 1st year on the board, and I grew up taking classes at AVA, then worked on the Spider-Man video game, made lots of characters for them, and then recently left that studio to become a freelancer, and now I'm working in the crypto space. And I'm going to pass it on to Helen.
Hi, I'm Helen Shulman. I'm an artist. I have a studio here at AVA, and this is the end of my 2nd year on the board. I'm on the Human Resource Committee, and it's been a joy being on the board, working with everybody. Oh, and I'm going to toss it to Gary.
Hello, I'm Gary Durkee, retired. I'm the chair of the Facilities Committee, and I've just finished my 1st year, and it's been a great experience and wonderful working with everyone. And I will pass it on to Jay.
I'm Jay Pearson. I'm the treasurer. I've just completed my 1st year, and like Gary, I also am retired. And so I'll pass it on to Barbara.
Thank you. I'm Barbara Johnson. I'm finishing my 2nd year. I chair the HR committee. I have the pleasure of chairing the search for the executive director. And I am a business and HR consultant. And I will pass it to, let's see, Bill.
Hey, I'm Bill Dunn. This is my last board meeting with you folks. I've been associated with the association for 13 years, 2 terms of 6 plus a lot of committee work on the gap year. And I've just been amazed at watching this committee grow. And thank you for allowing me to participate. And I'll toss it to John.
John? You're muted.
Sorry, did you say me? I didn't hear.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm John Kuhl. I'm a professor of chemistry and a structural biologist at Dartmouth. I'm also dean of the Guarini School of Graduate and Advanced Studies, and I just finished my 2nd year on the board. Both my daughters did every AVA art camp imaginable, and that's sort of how I got to know AVA. I'm very excited to be on the education committee. And I will pass it to Meg.
Great, thanks. Meg Maker, finishing my 1st year on the AVA board. I'm a fine artist and a writer and consultant on creative strategy and editorial strategy. I chair the Marketing Communications Committee. I'm also on the Development Committee, helping launch From Seed to Bloom. And I will toss it to Andrew.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Andrew Garthwaite, and I'm a former board chair, finishing my last meeting as a sort of board chair past. But it's been a thrill being involved with AVA. I loved every moment, and I look forward to attending the openings. And it's has been an exciting period for the last several years. And I will toss it to Kathy Volanakis, who has been a strong partner.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. I'm Kathy Volanakis, and I am stepping off the board this year. I had the most fun. It's been an honor, a privilege, and a learning experience to see the way AVA has changed in the 5 years that I've served on the board. I highly recommend anybody, if anybody's looking for a way to make a difference in their community, this is one way that I have found to meet people, meet amazing artists, and to make real what we all want, art every day for everybody. I'd like to pass on to, I think, have we spoken with Betsy Howard?
Yes.
Yes, she started us off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Betsy. Pam.
George.
Oh, George.
Yes,
Here
George.
we go, George. Let's go with George.
Oh, good evening, everybody. I hope you can see me. I think I've got the video going. My name is George Sykes. I'm on my 2nd year of my 1st term. I have a long association with AVA and while not being on the board, and spent a lot of time and energy and effort with Benta, trying to turn that space into the beautiful thing that it is today. I'm on the facilities committee. I've enjoyed being on the board, and that's about all. Thanks.
I think Kathy Hart.
Okay, hi. My name is Kathy Hart. I worked at the Hood Museum at Dartmouth for 30 years and very pleased to be working with AVA. This is the end of my 1st year. I've long admired AVA's mission and the dedication of people who work here. So I chair the exhibitions committee, and I also serve on the development committee. And who else has not spoken? I'm not sure who is, has Gary spoke?
Mm-hmm. Gary did.
I think it might just be Alan.
Just Alan? Okay.
Well, yes, Alan DeStacio, chair of the board. Again, this is the end of my 2nd year, and it has been a very rewarding experience. I agree with everyone that, giving back to the community, this is an exceptional way to do that. I'm not an artist myself, but I love the arts, and I think it's a very worthwhile thing to support and to make it available and to broaden its scope to as many people as possible. I think it's a great mission, and I'm committed to it. And again, I can't thank you all enough for your help and your camaraderie this past year. And I look forward to next year and seeing where we can keep this train moving. As we step forward, I think I would like to have Jay give us a quick report from the treasurer. Jay? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. My report will be a little bit longer than quick, but not too long.
That's okay.
The fiscal year ending August 31, 21 was anything but normal. Our entire year was consumed by COVID-19. I realize you've all heard how all organizations, particularly the arts, have been impacted by this pandemic. I would like to report that AVA has done a wonderful job weathering this storm. It was not an easy year, but the staff was creative and flexible in their approach to providing programs to members and community. With limited time for this report, I will hit the highlights, which I hope will give you some idea how the year went. The numbers used in this report are preliminary. There have been an initial closing of the financials, and more checking is necessary, and we will be subject to our independent audit at the end of our closing. The important statistic, revenues exceeded expenses by $105,000 compared to $3,600 in the prior year. These numbers do not include results to date from the capital campaign just publicly launched. How did we end up with such terrific results under the circumstances? Well, in operating revenues, we were above expectations. And just to hit a few, fundraising experienced a good year thanks to all our loyal patrons and increased community participation. Education income was outstanding after a slow start. New equipment was purchased, which we are using tonight, to help run classes remotely, and as the staff developed how to use it in class, attendance increased. The equipment purchased was made possible by a grant received from the state of New Hampshire. In addition, the camps run during the summer and vacation weeks were a great success. Many of these camps were in person. Operating expenses were surprisingly held close to expectations. We have an old building which required some heavy maintenance and will require ongoing attention. Teachers' payroll was higher than expected because class revenue was up, and compensation is key to class revenue. Publicity expenses were lower than expected. AVA had applied for 2 of the government PPP, payroll protection, stimulus programs totaling over $182,000. Of this amount, $89,600 has been forgiven and shown as income in 2021, and AVA has not yet applied to have the remainder forgiven. We expect we will be in compliance with the program and the funds will be forgiven. These funds allowed AVA to retain all its staff during the pandemic. Without the forgiven PPP, the excess revenues over expenses would still have been positive at some $16,000, still better than fiscal 2020. AVA was the beneficiary of a wonderful bequest. This bequest, along with the funds available through previous fundraising efforts, were used to reduce our bridge loan by approximately $200,000. The bridge loan had been taken out to help finance the sculpture building. The original loan was over $600,000, and now the balance is now under $400,000. With the pay down of the loan, interest expense has been reduced. A grant for $60,000 was received from the Courier Museum to help programs for veterans. This has developed into a very popular program. An operating reserve was established to help cover cash flow needs in case of unexpected circumstances. The reserve was initially funded with $75,000 from some of the unrestricted funds raised in prior years. The idea is to continue to fund this reserve up to 50% of the annual cash expenses. Extensive work was done to review the current and longer-term needs for building maintenance and improvements. A list was compiled, quotes for the work obtained, and the timing of the work which will occur over the next 3 to 5 years was established. The result of this work was used in helping to set goals for the comprehensive campaign. It is the intention to create a capital reserve to fund future maintenance and improvement requirements. We owe a big vote of thanks to all the staff, board, and community members who have made 2021 as successful as possible. Now, if we could take a moment to look forward, budgeting for fiscal 2022 was a very difficult task since the government PPP programs will not be in effect, and some of the grants in 2021 will not be available in 2022. There is a government employee retention program available, but at this point we do not know if AVA qualifies, nor do we know if AVA qualifies for PPP2 forgiveness. So we've not included those in the budget. A conservative approach has been taken to the budget. As a result, the board recently approved a budget reflecting an operating deficit of over $254,000, made up of revenues of $870,000, which are in line with the actual 2020 revenues, net of expenses of $1,124,000, which are higher than the actual 2021 expenses. The reason for the additional expense in 2022 is due primarily to the increase in the personnel budget to accommodate raises, an adjustment as to how teachers are paid, and new positions for development and administrative support. Available funds have been identified, which may be carried over to 2022 and can be used to offset this deficit, bringing operations to a break even. This is a one-year only situation. AVA will need to find additional sources of revenue and increase revenue from existing programs while containing expenses. Heidi Reynolds, our executive director for 10 months of fiscal 2021, before retiring from the position, worked extensively on the budget before she left. A working group, which included our interim executive director, Hilda Ojibwe, took Heidi's detailed budget and worked it over, arriving at the final 2022. It is a conservative budget in that revenues include only what we know can be realized, and expenses include all expenses we expect to incur. As Alan said, AVA is at a crossroads. There will be a new executive director in the coming months. Programs initiated in fiscal 2021 are now in full swing. The comprehensive campaign is underway. Our cash position is healthy, and our staff is dedicated and enthusiastic. An important point to mention, the comprehensive campaign, which launched on August 27th, has raised just over $817,000 as of today against a goal of $2.7 million. We expect great things for 2022. As a point of reference, AVA has a finance committee which meets monthly to oversee the finances. AVA is also subject to an independent audit for which an engagement letter has been signed for fiscal 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay. The Finance Committee did exceptional work this year under Jay's guidance, and I can't thank you all enough for the work you all did as well. Jay is a very steady hand, and he's about the details, which is perfect. So thank you, Jay, and the whole committee. Barbara, would you like to give us an update on the search committee, please? Oh, you're muted.
Yes, thank you, Alan. I'm pleased to tell you that we've received more than 70 applications for the executive director position, many of whom were well qualified for our consideration, including many with both nonprofit and arts management experience. We're currently conducting in-person interviews of 3 individuals who will meet with the staff, Benta and Hilda, with the plan being to bring back 2 of these for final interviews and introduction to members of the board within the next 3 to 4 weeks. If we are successful in making an offer after that, the new executive director could be appointed in early October, in keeping with our original timeline. We look forward to inviting our key stakeholders and friends of AVA to a welcome reception with the new executive director. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Well, we're going to wait till the end for all questions and suggestions from those who are participating. I'd like to ask Benta, here's a program that you would like to speak to. You're muted, Benta.
Here I am. Well, I have been given the sad task of remembering those we have lost in this year since September 2020 through August of this year. And we have lost a number of remarkable artists, friends, and supporters. So in the following, we will remember them. Barujan Bogosian, acclaimed collage and assemblage artist and former Dartmouth professor, died last September. For years, he generously contributed his exquisite work to AVA's silent auction, and he always encouraged and supported local artists in a quiet and encouraging way behind the scenes. Jean Barson, who died last September, referred to herself as AVA's grandmother. She grew up on Bank Street in Lebanon and loved to convey vivid stories to us about the AVA building when it was the H.W. Carter and Sons overall factory. Jean wrote beautiful poetry, and the old factory was often a source of inspiration for her poems. She was featured in the documentary film about AVA called Connecting the Threads from Overalls to Art. Gail Barton, who died last September, was a prolific artist whose contributions to AVA's holiday shows were legendary. She also had a distinguished career as an MD, specializing in psychiatry, and pioneered an art therapy program at the VA hospital in White River Junction, Vermont. Closey Dickey died at her home on Hardy Hill in Lebanon last December. Along with her late husband, Whit, a former board member here at AVA, Closey was one of our most devoted and generous supporters. Until her health prevented her from visiting, Closey was an enthusiastic regular at AVA's special events, making the events even more special. M.L. Gitchell, ML stands for Mary Linda, died in January. She was an award-winning photographer, a frequent exhibitor, and a recipient of a juror's award from one of AVA's juried summer exhibitions. She was also a published poet, and in 2014 produced a book celebrating the 250th anniversary of her hometown of Piermont, New Hampshire. Jose Clemente Orozco Farias, who died in January, was the grandson of the noted Dartmouth muralist Jose Clemente Orozco. Clemente, a kind and gentle man, was well known as a talented printmaker. He was a generous teacher who taught numerous printmaking workshops at AVA several years ago. Kazuhiko Itagaki, who died in February, was a longtime supporter of AVA and of his wife, the irrepressible Aya Itagaki, who was one of AVA's early artist members, beloved teacher and board member. Kazuhiko, a retired scientist who worked at Krell, created numerous intricate frames for the exquisite screens that Aya often exhibited at AVA. Tekla McCann, who died in February, was a long-time and treasured volunteer and gallery sitter. With her extensive art background, she enjoyed speaking with visitors in her kind and quiet way about the work on display. As a former art teacher, AVA's annual high school exhibition was Tekla's favorite. Gary Leonhach, who died in March, was a renowned poet and a Dartmouth professor. With his wife, artist and Dartmouth professor Louise Hamlin, he was a long-time supporter of AVA. Emily Walker-Jones died just a few weeks ago in late August. Emily was a long-time AVA supporter and a former board member. With her late husband, Sam Bush, she ran the Bush Galleries in Norway for many years, and in the mid-1990s, she curated a memorable exhibition at AVA on children's book illustrators. So, Barujan, Jean, Gail, Closey, Emil, Clemente, Kazuhiko, Tekla, Gary, and Emily, you have all contributed to AVA in the most beautiful and meaningful ways, and you are all fondly remembered. Thank you, and may I just end on a little more uplifting here and now note. I just want to remind you all that on Friday, there will be a closing reception at AVA for the beautiful exhibition of works by members of Two Rivers Printmaking Studio. The exhibition is on display in AVA's lobby gallery. So the reception will be from 5 to 7. Hope to see you there. Thank you again. And thank you to all these wonderful friends whom we had lost this year.
Thank you very much, Benta. And I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of the board for your continued commitment to this organization. It's a high bar that is going to be so hard to ever surpass. But again, thank you so much for all you do. Much appreciated.
It is my pleasure. And I hope that next time I will fail in, that I won't fail in retirement.
I'll hold you to it. Hilda, if you would, your executive director's report, please.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
We can.
Okay, thank you all very much. It's an honor to be serving at AVA again. I'm big into recycling, so I recycled myself from a couple of years ago, and here I am again in the interim chair. Actually, the chair I'm in, I want to say I am in the members gallery, which is really exciting. It's a project that was talked about for years, and now here we are. So I am in the members gallery. I would like to say that, you know, Benta it's tragic when we lose people, but I want to acknowledge, I'm not going to call anybody out, but I think every single person who's participating in the board, every single staff member, every single person who is tuning in has really suffered a loss this last year of one sort or another. It's been very difficult, very difficult. We've lost friends, family members. Some of us, our livelihoods have been significantly impacted, or extreme challenges to our health. despite all of that, every single one of these people continues to make time to give to AVA, which is incredible, because I know that it can be a hardship when you have other demands on your time and your money. So I want to thank people and acknowledge that you have continued to give to a creative, vibrant organization, which is like a lifeboat in the sea that's been pretty rough for the last year. So thanks to all of you who have persevered and continue to help out. So I think that AVA is a bit like a garden, that you really, good gardeners year after year, they tend the garden every year, they have more fruits and vegetables, they're able to put away more, so that when you hit those long, cold winters, you can make it through. And this has been a long, cold winter. But there have been some good things. So watch and be marveled at my technical skills. Here we go. Hold on, hold on. We're going to start last fall. The big news around last fall, I'm sharing my screen. Do you see the screen? Because we got all this Zoom equipment. So an organization that was all about face-to-face arts engagement had to figure out how to remake itself. So this screen behind me symbolizes the adaptation to using Zooming equipment, online equipment, to be able to continue to offer classes in the community. And that was hard. I mean, everyone had to get used to using the equipment, which clearly is a challenge, because every meeting we spend the first few minutes trying to sort things out. It's hard. It's hard for the instructors and the students, but people rallied and they did it. So I want to congratulate everyone who did that. We also had wonderful exhibitions last year, still able to do things. And in the fall of last year, there was a very generous response, as Jay mentioned, to the annual fund. There was also, the board began working on realizing that there needed to be a long-term solution to some of these financial and facility pressures. So that's where the seed for the From Seed to Bloom campaign started. Okay, now, those of you who know me know you hardly ever see a cell phone in my hand. I'm not like the young people who always has a cell phone. Now, that's not me, that's not my style. But last year, in the winter, the high school exhibition was held online. And if you wanted to get a jury to judge the art, what better way than to give a bunch of people their cell phone and let them vote that way? So that was a big innovation last year. The high school show is always very exciting, and it would be very disappointing for the students who are already isolated in their homes not to have that tradition. So it went forth, and the innovation, I think, was that you used a cell phone instead of an individual juror. Our artist memberships also doubled in a year's time, and we began to see that. So people saw the real value of purchasing not just a membership at AVA, but an artist membership, which gave them, you're going to see more, access to the members gallery. There was strong enrollment in the clay classes and using the bench time, the studios. It provided a safe place where people could continue to do their art. Again, at a time when people were afraid to even go to the grocery store, it was really remarkable that AVA was able to provide this safe, creative space for people to come together and continue their art. Okay, let's swing, swing, swing. I'm not going to do this, but there was some dancing happening here last spring. That's kind of unusual in the gallery, but unusual things had to happen in an unusual year. So last spring, AVA hosted a dance exhibition, happened in the gallery, and the audience was on the street. That was one of the innovations of the spring. Also, I think people were more and more aware of the impact of the pandemic and just in general on mental health. More open discussions about mental health. And so AVA partnered with West Central Services, which is one of the main providers of mental health services in the community, to do some art talks and discussions about mental health, and also show some art that helped express the emotions and feelings that people were dealing with. All right, let me see. We're going to turn. That was spring. This isn't everything that happened. I'm just trying to hit some of the highlights. Going into the summer, one of the exciting things did is an online presentation on Juneteenth. I think everybody was much more tuned into social justice issues and the impact of various political and economic issues on people of color. So AVA really picked up on this need to discuss openly about it and had a wonderful online presentation in June on Juneteenth. What also was happened in the summer is we finally came back to life and people started coming in for the exhibitions and in face-to-face for the art talks. One of them, there were lots of different art talks, but one thing that struck me, again, thinking about the changes in technology, one of the art talks was by John Fox, a photographer, who recounted and brought out the different cameras he's used over the years. And it was very interesting to me that his art form, very much like a musician or a dancer, actually took a toll on his body. And over the years, the cameras became lighter, more flexible, where at that show, he actually had one of his photos that was from a cell phone. And he was saying that just like we found with using Zoom equipment, that the cell phone is really the tool of the future for many photographers. That was just one little thing I learned at an art talk, but every couple of weeks we're having these great in-person art talks. All right, now let's take a look. Now I'm going to do this very slowly and carefully because I don't want anyone to get seasick. I'm going to just show you a little bit of the members gallery that opened in the summer. And I want to especially thank Cheryl Trainer and the members of the members gallery committee who made this happen, because it was talked about for a long time, but it didn't happen until this summer. So very slowly, just a little peek around the gallery. Here we go. I'm going to spin you around. Whoops. Cannot move a video while people are spotlighted. Okay, it's not going to cooperate with that. So you're going to have to come in now. I'm sorry, but the last thing I want to say is this. Even though I won't be around much longer, whoever sits in this chair is going to have this monkey on their back. The monkey on the back is COVID. So we're just going to deal with it. Let's try to have a sense of humor about it. Let's try to be reasonable, even though you can see it's choking me off sometimes, but we persevere. The other monkey on my back is that debt. That debt that we have, we're going to get rid of from the From Seed to Bloom campaign. So I'm going to close, me and my little friend, and we're going to get rid of this little guy though next year. He is going out the window. No more COVID. Thank you all so much, and I want to especially thank Heidi Reynolds, who really helped transform the organization, big change in the organization from when I was here in 2019, and all the employees, many of whom I had the pleasure of working with a couple years ago. It's great to be back at that team, and the volunteers who, again, have 100 demands on their time, but choose to give their time and talents to AVA week after week. Thank you all very much.
And thank you, Hilda, for everything you're doing. You've been a wonderful person to fill in the blanks while we wait for a new director to come along, and can't thank you enough for everything you're doing. And certainly, before we get into the Q&A section, and certainly last but not least, I want to make sure that I say offer a huge thank you from the board to Andrew, to Bill, and to Kathy for everything that you've done these past however many years. Without the bar that you set for us, I'm not sure we would be where we are today. So again, thank you all so much, and I appreciate your collaboration. And I'm sure you'll still be around. You know, you can never really take the person, the AVA out of the person. So I'm sure we'll cross paths many times. I'll be calling you, Andrew, if we need any more help. You can run, but you can't hide. And with that, are there any other questions from the participants or of the attendees? Anybody have anything further to share? I guess not at this point. I don't see anything in the Q&A. I don't see any hands raised. Well, I guess we are at the end of the meeting. Would I have a motion to adjourn?
Alan, may I do that as my last official
Please. Of course, Bill.
I propose the adjournment of the annual meeting 2021. Thank you.
And I'll second it.
I think for tonight we need a third. Kathy, would you like to make a third?
Sorry, I was on mute. I third it. Thank you again, folks. This was a ton of fun. We learned a lot and looking forward to helping out any way I can going forward. Thanks.
Absolutely. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I'm not even going to ask who's opposed. So moved. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening.